Hey guys, Creator Mom, Sheena. Video number 2 for Sunday. So, Joseph Manifesting channel. He made a video recently about self-talk, having out loud self-talk with yourself, like a self-inquiry. And I really loved it. So check out his channel if you want to. I just did that today for like 10 minutes. I just felt inspired because I had a lot of fears coming up. Excuse my gum chewing. But I had a lot of fears coming up about pursuing this divorce. And I was like realizing them, like feeling that they were there, and I was like, ooh, that's a fear that came up. But I didn't really sit down to have a whole inner it wasn't really inner conversation. I was speaking out loud with myself. I hadn't stopped to have a conversation with myself about these fears that were coming up. So I did that. And it was a really interesting conversation. And the conclusion that I came to was that in my mind, I have determined a couple of things that would be a worst case scenario outcome. So this is where my fears are coming from, right? They're popping up. Because the fears are based off what I perceive to be what would be a worst case scenario. So I thought to myself, well, in my perception, that would be the worst. But in reality, it actually might not be the worst thing that ever happened. It could actually be the best thing that could happen. But my perception is limited. Those things seem like the worst, but they may not end up being the worst thing. So I decided, well, I don't feel like I have massive control over the outcome, but I have to accept that whatever the outcome is will be good. It might not be what my perception of good is, but it will be good. It will work for our good. Period. And that's the only conclusion that I feel like I can come to that gives me some kind of peace about it all. That no matter what happens, everything will be okay. And everything will work for my good. And the parties involved. So, the reason I make this video is just to say that I'm a proponent of having self-conversations. Because when you're having self-conversations, you're having conversations with God. And you're thinking out loud. And I feel like it's so, like, super healthy. Like, I feel like it's so good. So, maybe you never tried to have a conversation with yourself. Sit down with yourself, right? It's just like you sitting down with yourself saying, okay, let's put these fears on the table. Okay. What's the worst thing that could happen? You know, just like going through it. I call it self-therapizing, self-therapy. I think it's super important. And even if you do see a therapist, that's only once a week for an hour. You know, what are we doing for the 6 days, 7 days minus 1 hour with ourselves? We really have to become our own therapist. And yes, we can have a therapist to assist, which is so helpful. But 98% of the time, we have to become our own therapist. And I think that having that outer self-talk could be a really good tool to do that. Have a great day, everyone.